What's up, y'all? It's your boy Vinnie-Dangerous, and let me start off by saying, fuck R. Kelly. This is another installment of Dangerous Minds, and the talk of the internet, the talk of just, everywhere, since Thursday when the docuseries first aired about R. Kelly, Surviving R. Kelly on Lifetime. Conversation has been about R. Kelly. I got a few things, like I've just been watching. I took some time before I jumped on it. I mean, I did a little 50-second video on the Dangerous Minds YouTube, Instagram page, just expressing my immediate thoughts. But I took the week to collect myself, to watch the responses, to watch how people reacted to this once the docuseries was over. And I just got a lot on my mind. Like, I just wanted to take this episode to express that, because it's a lot more than R. Kelly, which sounds crazy because it's a lot. There's a lot of information that was on that docuseries that we all knew about. We knew about Aaliyah, we knew about the sex tape, and the recent allegations of him having a sex cult in his home. They specifically name dropped Atlanta, his Atlanta home. And the women that are still currently, as of this recording, are still currently living with him, I guess you could say. I mean, you really can't call it captive, but I mean, some of them, the way that the stories are describing, they may be captive, but it seems that a lot of them are brainwashed. So mentally they're trapped, but physically, like a few of the people, once they really got that moment of clarity, they could leave at any moment. But as of right now, they are so brainwashed and manipulated that they cannot leave. Just at least there's a mental block. There's, mentally and emotionally, they have been broken down to the point where they can't feel like they can't leave. So I'm not gonna say that he's holding them captive. That wasn't what the docuseries was trying to say. They were saying that these women were manipulated. They're saying that these women were broken down to the point where they felt that they were dependent on R. Kelly, that R. Kelly was telling them that no one else would love them, no one else cared about them the way that R. Kelly cared about them, and they believed it because of his status, because of his manipulative tactics, just different ways that he used a certain process to break them down mentally, to take advantage of them. I mean, there were certain things about that I didn't personally know. I didn't know that he was hanging around high schools early in his career. So this isn't something that just happened recently, or this wasn't something that happened around the time that the sex tape became public knowledge. This has been happening maybe even before. I mean, the timeline was a little fuzzy there at the beginning from what I saw, or at least what I remember. But it seems like it may have been right when he was famous, but right when he was starting to get famous, or maybe even before everything started to really take off for him. He was hanging around high schools, he was hanging around malls. I mean, he was in the McDonald's parking lot, just like scoping out chicks. Like the first girl to give him a smile, the first girl to make eye contact, he was on it. And it's big because before he's a pedophile. Like, honestly, when I was watching this, I was thinking in my head, like, R. Kelly is really playing creep bingo, and he is placing his chips on every mark. He didn't leave any creep characteristic unturned. Like, he is short. Shit, I can't even really think. I mean, the only thing he could do at this point is murder. It doesn't sound like he raped anybody, I guess, like in the in the traditional sense of the word, but it doesn't feel like everybody was a complete contributor or consenting to what was going on. So I honestly don't know what to call it, but at this point he has just kind of covered all the bases of a creep. Everything you could think of that a creepy motherfucker would do, R. Kelly did. And just to hear the stories of what these women went through, and like, there's people dismissing it. There's idiots online. There's creeps that's really like coming out and taking R. Kelly's side and trying to dismiss the claims that these women were making on this docuseries. There's been a couple of stories about some of the accusers that people are trying to use to dismiss, or basically, assassinate their character, to try to cast doubt on what they're saying or the value of their testimonies during this docuseries. But when I sit down and just listen to it, listen to the information, listen to their stories of what they went through, listen to how similar a lot of their stories were, and a lot of their experiences were, and I just kept thinking to myself, this is real. The pain I heard in their voices were real. The tears felt real. There was nothing about this docuseries that felt like these women were putting on any type of act. There was really no benefit for them to get up there, other than to let people be aware of what's going on. And the thing is, it's not like this information hasn't been known. A lot of those record executives or tour managers or backup dancers, backup singers, all these people that were around R. Kelly around this time, not just the women, not just the survivors of R. Kelly's abuse and manipulation, not just them, but it's the people that worked around R. Kelly that have testified against, and even beyond this docuseries, this has been common knowledge. The Best of Both Worlds tour, there was always a rumor why R. Kelly and Jay-Z just stopped fucking with each other, was because some of this shit was starting to happen around Jay, and Jay didn't want nothing to do with it. Or, we all knew about Aaliyah. We all knew about, the situation with the sex tape. I don't care, because I remember when I personally stopped fucking with R. Kelly, there was a lot of people that denied it, I remember even with the sex tape, I was one of those people up until around 2010, 2011, that was like listening to other people. I didn't watch this sex tape, and I refused to. I don't watch child pornography. And even at a young age, even when it was like the talk, and like even kids my age, because the sex tape became public knowledge around 2002. I, through elementary school up until like I got to high school, he was on trial. It just kept being delayed from what it was talking about. But, that was always something that came up. When R. Kelly's name came up, that was the punchline, that was the joke. Dave Chappelle, the Boondocks, all that shit was R. Kelly peeing on women, and he got a sex tape. So, there's people around me that watched it. I didn't want to watch it. I just felt uncomfortable with it. It just wasn't something that I was into. But I remember listening to other people, and they used to say shit like, well, the girl obviously was fast, was moving, was like, she lied about her age, even though they say she was 14, that she probably looked older than what she was, or probably lied about her age, and that's how R. Kelly got caught up. And then the fact that the family didn't want to testify, the fact that the victim didn't want to testify, made everybody go, okay, well, maybe there's some doubt. Maybe there's a reason that we should, give R. Kelly another chance. So I still continue to listen to the music. There's some, like, I'm not going to sit here and act like I wasn't a fan. Like, a lot of people are trying to act like they were not fans of R. Kelly's music. Like, he did a lot of collaboration work that I was a big fan of, like with Lil Jon and the East Side Boys, and Ludacris, and Cassidy, like Jay, Usher, like all these people that he used to like work with. like some of the albums, some of the songs. Like Honey Love was one of my favorite R&B songs ever. 12 Play was one of my favorite R&B albums ever. Even some of his most recent work, like Love Letter, I was like really in love with at the time. So I'm not gonna say and act like I wasn't a fan. I continued to listen to it even though I felt funny about it. I remember the Touré interview, and it was something to poke fun at, and it was something that my dad used to be like, nah, I don't fuck with R. Kelly. But I still listened to the music. It wasn't until I was rummaging through my mother's CD collection, and I was listening to Aaliyah's first album, Age Ain't Nothing But a Number, and I noticed on the back of the cover, when you look at the information about who wrote it, all the other stuff, I noticed that songs were written and produced by R. Kelly. I asked my mother about it. I was like, I didn't know Aaliyah, worked with R. Kelly at that point. I had no idea. I wasn't really that knowledgeable about that part of her career. And my mother was like, oh yeah, R. Kelly married her, and she was 15. And I think I had like a realization at that moment, because I didn't know anything about that until my mother told me. And at that point, I was just like, there's no way that the incident with the 14-year-old was a one-time deal. Me being older now, I understand that no matter how old somebody may look to you, you can really tell between a little child under the age and under the legal age, or somebody that is your age, somebody that is at least an adult that can have a conversation with you like an adult. It doesn't take long to really get to that realization. And at that point, that's when I said I had to cut all ties from R. Kelly. I had to cut all ties from listening to his music, really being a fan and supporting it. I couldn't do it anymore. And it wasn't something that I really like spoke out about or made public, but it was something that I definitely just made a personal conscious decision, because it was really hard for me to listen to songs like Age Ain't Nothing But a Number and Seems Like You're Ready without having that mental image. Like, there's always a talk about separating the art from the person, and in some cases, I feel like that is possible, but I couldn't do it with somebody like R. Kelly. And just listening to these women's stories, and it was just more than just the pedophilia aspect of it. Like, it's a big part of it, but then you start to listen to these women's stories, and you start to like really get an understanding of this process that he put these women, this mental manipulation that he put these women through. And you really realize it was more about power and ego. It was more about being able to control these women, because there were women that were older, that were more around his age, that he was dating, that he took under his control, because he, for a lack of better term, saw that they were like a little bit, weaker mentally, and maybe, had some insecurities that made them easier to prey on, to where he could manipulate them to do the things that he wanted them to do. The stories, like the one thing that got me, that had me all the way fucked up, was when they talked about how the girls would be in the studio and they couldn't use the bathroom without his permission, or if they get in trouble, they would be stuck like in a room and not eating for 3 days, or stuck on a tour bus and not eating for 2-3 days. And how they had buckets in the corner where they used the bathroom. And I'm just sitting here like, yo, that's sick. Like, it was just hard for me to like really sit there and listen to that and still support like the people that really paid attention, the people that was really watching that and really like getting a good. And I understand that it's hearsay. I understand that it's one side of the story, but it's really hard for me to listen to those stories, listening to those multiple women tell and recount their experiences, and how a lot of them have similar experiences, and being like, I can still support this guy. Like, I can still sit there and listen to his music and not think about everything that these women have been through, and think about everything that these these women continue to go through. Like, people are being kept away from their families for years. There's families that haven't seen the women in their lives, you know, haven't seen these women in years, and have been excommunicated from them, you know, to be with R. Kelly. And, you know, so for the people that just can sit there and listen to that, I can't fuck with you. I can't rock with that. Like, this is one of those situations where we just have to really sit here and be like, nah, I can't. Like, just because this dude is a black man, just like I remember the Boondocks, the one part of the Boondocks episode that a lot of people don't get is the fact that when Huey just said, look, every nigga that gets arrested isn't Nelson Mandela. Just because it's a black man being arrested, and it is true that a lot of black men are targeted in this system. I talked about how I felt about the Nate Parker situation, and I still strongly feel about that one, is that I felt like he was being targeted. And it's like, once his movie flopped, everybody just kind of went on about their day. He could come back now, and as long as he ain't doing nothing like a Nat Turner project, I feel like this stuff won't become a topic of discussion again. But with R. Kelly, it's different. Stories have always been there. And then I really do feel that in the end of the docuseries, there was a conversation about how, as a community, we failed these black women that were being manipulated, these people that he was targeting, because there was a sense of like it didn't really matter as much because they were black. And, you know, you think about how fast, you know, as soon as the allegations started to pile on for Bill Cosby, he was out of there. You know, before you could blink, I think within 2 years, he was locked up. 2 years of when the Me Too movement and the, you know, accusers really started to pile up. And these were conversations that had been happening with Bill too. But once it really started to weigh down, he was out of there. But there's been these periods where R. Kelly that it just didn't materialize the same way, you know. And you think about the people that were around him, the people that helped him. I mean, they talked about how he doesn't read and write well, and these people are around him, helping him do this shit. And the thing that always got me, when, like, once I really sat down and I thought about it, and I see all these radio DJs and these companies and these label execs and even these other artists in the industry that are denouncing R. Kelly now, I think about, you know, why you didn't speak up before. There's people that have been in the studio. You see the, you know, the credits on the albums that he's written songs for some of these people. He's been on songs with and collaborated with some of these people. Why are they just now denouncing R. Kelly in 2019 and they couldn't do it 5 years ago, 10 years ago? Because R. Kelly isn't at the peak of popularity anymore. R. Kelly isn't a Billboard, #1 Billboard artist anymore. He's put out albums that have not done as well as his previous efforts. You don't hear R. Kelly on the radio, and I don't think it's because of these allegations, because I think he faded away from the limelight a long time ago. So these label execs, these same people, former road managers and whoever that was on the or backup singers that were on that docuseries, worked with R. Kelly, knowing what was going on with R. Kelly, and didn't say anything because he was putting money in their pocket. He was a cash cow. There was one girl that she said straight up, like, you know, we don't really care if R. Kelly's on that tape or not, because we can't afford to lose R. Kelly. There's too much value in him in 2008 or 2002 or any of that time period when that trial was going on. That's why they got him off. But R. Kelly in 2019 does not have the same value that he did in 2008. Even in 2010, R. Kelly still had value. That's why these people did not want to dismiss R. Kelly. That's why these people are on this docuseries proudly using him as a scapegoat to make themselves look better. And I'm, you know, me saying that, I'm not defending R. Kelly. Like I said, he's a piece of shit. I don't fuck with R. Kelly. I'm not a fan of R. Kelly. But these people, the blame should not be taken away from those people just because they decided to get in front of a camera now and speak out on this shit. They knew what was going on. Those people helped him achieve the bullshit that he was doing, but they stepped to the side because he was lining their pockets. And that's when you have to ask yourself a question: how much is your soul worth? Are you willing to stand next to a pedophile, a serial abuser, just an all-around creep, if he's putting money in your pocket? Just ask Sparkle family, like the ones that they stepped back and said, we're not gonna say anything about R. Kelly. We're gonna deny that that's my niece on that tape because the uncle is playing bass on R. Kelly's new album. He's going on tour with R. Kelly. That's the type of world we living in. So I said all that to say this: you looked at that docuseries. Can you still stand next to R. Kelly? Can you still support somebody like that? And if he was still a #1 Billboard, #1 on the charts, would this docuseries have come out when it did? R. Kelly's still alive, but his career is dying, and this is probably just the final nail in the coffin. But who knows? But that's my time. Tune in about a couple weeks. I'm doing these episodes every other Sunday now, so just tune in in the next couple weeks, excuse me. And until then, follow the YouTube channel, subscribe to the YouTube channel, follow the Instagram page, and make sure you keep up with everything Vinnie-Dangerous at Vinnie-Dangerous.com. Until then, it's been your boy Vinnie-Dangerous once again. Much love.